use the raise your hand feature, and we'll go ahead and get things started.
All right, Robbie, you can start us off.
Hey, Coach. Robbie Falk with Starkville Daily News and 247 Sports. Just really interested in your thoughts over the last couple of months of how things have kind of transpired here. Came in kind of late in the cycle, and now you're running this team here over the next few months. What's been going through your mind, and how you feel like you and your staff have handled this?
I came here to add value as an assistant coach and to help Nikki, and that's what I thought I signed up for. However, things changed pretty quickly, and so our goal is still the same, or my goal is still the same, is to add value. Now it's just from a different position, a different seat. So anytime there's change in your life, change in anything, it takes some time. But I think every day we're building a foundation, getting to know each other a little bit better, understanding what's important in moving forward.
Okay, John, you can go.
Hey, Doug. First of all, welcome to Starkville. I'm John Sokoloff. I work at the TV station not too far from State. Welcome here. And kind of going off Robbie's question there, can we kind of get a little more of like the timeline? When did you find out actually that you were going to be taking over the program? And how kind of has the adjustment been since, so late in the off season?
Everything happened pretty quick. Coach was able to speak with the team, about her health issues, and within that day, maybe the next day, we started making changes, making arrangements. We took a couple of days off of our workouts just to process, so the team could process, so we could get organized. Then again, anytime there's change, it takes a while for people to adjust. But moving forward, it's actually each day gets better and better. And the best thing we can do for Coach would be to, the best way for us to honor would be to play our best. And I know she'd want that for everybody that she's recruited and everything she's done for this program. And so, we're just trying to honor her by taking each day and work to the best that we can.
Stefan?
Hey, Coach, Stefan Kreischick with the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. When the change did made and you were kind of put into the interim role, were there any conversations with players about their interest in still staying with Mississippi State? I guess what was your message to them about what you guys were trying to accomplish this year if they stayed, with the Bulldogs?
There were never any specific conversations about that, and I'm sure. We're not naive. The way the world works today, kids have options. So, we just said we're moving forward. This is what the program looks like. They signed on to play for Mississippi State and coach, and so obviously that's an adjustment. But their goals, I'm not sure that they really changed in terms of what they want to accomplish as a team. And sometimes a tough situation brings people together, and maybe they appreciate what they have a little bit more. So there were no conversations concerning that, and there really hasn't been any since.
Andy, you can go ahead.
Hey, Doug, Andy Kuska from the Clarion Ledger. Hope you're doing well. I guess first off, just your first reaction when you heard the news that you're going to be the interim coach, and I guess what kind of first steps did you take to just maybe steady the ship and kind of bring it, I guess, under your leadership?
Yeah, again, surprise. I was coming here to add value as an assistant coach, associate head coach. I was looking forward to doing that, and I thought we were making some strides with the team in certain areas, and then the roles changed. But in my mind, a coach is a coach, and so if I need a head coaching job to validate myself, I probably shouldn't be in this business. So for me mentally, it really wasn't that big of a difference. Now for the players and for a team, it is a big difference. So very eager to put in some X's and O's and get that kind of organization. But before you can touch that, you really do have to develop some relationships, and you can't skip steps. I mean, I do feel like we're behind in some areas, and I want to skip some of those relationship steps and get to the basketball and things that matter. But, until you build it and you get a solid foundation, all the technical or tactical stuff doesn't really come into play. So we're kind of in that middle ground right now of developing a foundation, but then also putting together some schematics and how we're going to practice and how we're going to create a winning culture.
Robbie?
Yeah, Coach, what's your initial thoughts on this roster? I know that you haven't been here extremely long, and the other coaches haven't either for the most part. But what have y'all seen from this roster so far? The players that were brought in and the players that are returning.
Well, to be honest with you, that's our coaching. That's our conversations on a daily basis, is looking at the roster and what's going to be the best way to play to utilize the skills that we have. It's not a normal roster that I can tell in terms of size, because it's a very small group of young women, and but they have some different types of skill sets. So what we don't want to do is be married to any type of system, whether it be offensively or defensively. We'd rather look to see what we have, and every day they're giving us information. Every day we're giving them information, and we're trying to find the best way to play that's going to be most advantageous for us. So obviously it's not going to be 3 out, 2 in. We're going to probably have to spread that floor a little bit and use the speed to our advantage.
Colin, you go ahead.
I'm Colin Dams. I'm from the Commercial Dispatch. So this program has developed a winning reputation over the last few years, and the recruiting has obviously reflected that. Just from your short time coming into the team and seeing things, what are your expectations with this group, even with the adversity you guys have faced?
This is going to sound like such a coach. I have zero expectations other than to have a great practice tomorrow. And I just think everything will take care of itself. Our main goal is to keep on developing players, getting them better on a day-to-day basis, and growing as a team. And those wins are going to take care of themselves.
John?
Doug, kind of going off that, this is a program that has incredibly high expectations. And last year, I mean, they weren't met. And obviously you weren't here, but fan base that is incredibly hungry, to get back to the prominence that they were. What do you think makes you the right guy to lead this specific group to get back to that prominence that these fans are so hungry for?
Yeah, it's not going to be me telling the fans that I'm the right guy. We're going to have to show it. We're going to have to show it on a daily basis. And more than anything else, we may have some early growing pains, but it's going to be the growth of our program over time, our growth from one day to the next, from 1 week to the next. And we are going to be incredibly persistent, in seeking out that growth. And so whether I'm the guy or not, what's going to happen, people will see by the product that we put out there, not by the words that I say.
Stefan?
Yeah, with the interim position right now, I mean, I know it's been a short amount of time, but do you kind of treat this as a bit of an audition to be the head guy moving forward past the season?
No, I don't. And really taking this job in the first place, I was very comfortable, and I had a great job, 30 years of coaching in college level. There was no end game to this. There was no agenda. There was nothing that I was seeking out other than I thought this was a program that I could come in and help. And I felt like there was a need there. Obviously, the need's a little bit different than what I thought when I took the job. So I have not, beyond having great practices, beyond developing this team over the course of the year, there is no end game other than us trying to win games and play in this incredible SEC league. I mean, that's that's the excitement, and whatever happens, happens. Like it's even with the wins, of course, here at Mississippi State, there should be some expectations. What's been done here is amazing. And I'm humbled to be a part of this thing right now, and anxious to get to grow this thing our way in maybe a different way than it's done before. But really, those are my only expectations, is to keep on having the great practices and growing our team.
Christy?
Hi, Doug. Christy Thomas Cuddy, ESPN. You mentioned earlier, every day the system is evolving because you're learning one another, but you're basically 2 weeks out from playing. So knowing you came in late, you've got two other assistants who are new. Can you walk us through how you went about how you're building practices to build an offensive and defensive system? Is it more what you've done in the past? It's taking what Nikki did a year ago? What can we expect?
That's a great question. Now we're getting into some fun basketball stuff. It's for me over the years, it's always been about a foundation of footwork, both on the offensive and defensive side. And so we care about very little. So there's probably 4 things on the offensive side, 4 things on the defensive side. And obviously, and those have layers to them, but we're not yelling and screaming about a lot of things, but that foundation of eyes on the rim, working your feet, how to start, how to stop, and then making the person next to you better. Those will not change, and those are universal. They were great 20 years ago. They'll be great 20 years moving forward. So that foundation is there. Now within that foundation, every year is different. I mean, even if I was at Mississippi State for 20 years, every year those players are going to be different, even if they're the same players, because they're developing at different rates. But we're constantly watching to see what they can do within the framework that we've laid out there. So the framework doesn't rule the game, their skills do. Our offense is based on what they can do, and we want to get to their best most often. And then on the defensive side, same thing. We're working on conditioning the feet, learning how to pick up a left foot when a driver is going baseline, and cross over, and how to wall up and do those things. But once that foundation is laid, and sometimes it takes forever to get that down, then you can put layers on top of it. And so gradually we're starting to put layers on top of that foundation. But that's where I said earlier, where I want to skip some steps, you just can't. It's in the long run, it's worth staying with the foundations of fundamentals, and then adding the layers, and you can put the layers on really quick, almost like building a house. It seems like it takes forever, and they're not going to get it done. And then within the last week, the whole thing's completed.
So based on this foundation on both sides of the ball, would you say that you're ahead in one area of the other? And where do you expect to see the biggest gains, maybe by the time SEC play begins?
I wish I could answer that one, because it fluctuates. I would say where we've made the most gains, and it's such a short amount of time, but I would say within the last 3 days, is consistency of focus and effort into those things. And it's not that any player was saying, hey, we don't believe in what's going on. Sometimes they don't understand the word. Sometimes I can't present it in the right way. And that's part of the relationship thing. They're learning how we speak as coaches, and we're learning how they respond. And so we're starting to find a consistency in where we may be doing the same things over and over, maybe in a different area. But it's that consistency that allows you to take that next step. So some days on that offensive end, that ball is really moving with those small guards that we have. And those smaller guards are also finding ways to attack the basket and be a presence around the rim. And so, yeah, again, each day we're getting more information. I feel like I'm gaining wisdom, and they are too.
Thank you.
Robbie?
Yeah, Coach. I mean, obviously this is a tough situation in many ways, but especially kind of building the program for the future. And you still got to, recruiting never stops. How do you sell Mississippi State right now without any certainty moving forward? What's kind of the message to recruits?
Well, one thing is that we're at Mississippi State. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Like the fact that I'm coaching in the SEC, the fact that these players right now are at Mississippi State, this was a big deal before I ever came, and it will continue to be a big deal to a lot of players around the country. And so I don't even think of this as uncertainty. Here's what I'm certain of. We're going to work our feet. We're going to have our eyes on the rim. We are going to defend and keep people going on from straight line drives. There's a lot of certainty in our program that excites me. Now on the outside, maybe some of you guys may have some uncertainty. What does interim mean? What does all of this mean? I said, but inside of our program, it's pretty certain. We're pretty defined, and each day with the consistency that we're showing, I think that's where we're going to see the growth throughout the course of the year.
Andy?
Hey, Doug, what's the availability of Jessica Carter? When do you expect her to be able to play?
Jessica's still a part of our program. She's just taken some time away for some personal matters, and we hope to have her back soon.
Do you have soon? Is that a month? I mean, do you have a specific time frame besides soon, or?
I don't. That's the best I can do at this time.
John?
Doug, what has Maya kind of brought in your time there so far, and how special of a player can she be, and how instrumental do you think she'll be in any success you guys have this year?
Did you say Maya?
Yeah.
Crucial, and she's been great for my soul. She makes me feel good every day, and I appreciate every coach that's coached her before, because we as a staff are reaping the benefits of what they've been able to do with her game. An outstanding defender, the leadership off the charts. Her offensive game has just grown throughout her career, and even in the 2 months that we've been here, the flexibility and variety that and stress she can put on other defenses is really amazing. And to have somebody bringing the ball up with that type of confidence, it bleeds into the other team. To have somebody picking the ball up as an offense is coming at you, again, it bleeds confidence into our team. And so early on, in the middle, and in the end, I know that I'm sure going to appreciate the experience, even in this small amount of time that I've been able to coach her and watch her and work with her.
Okay, we're going to have a few more questions for Coach. Up next, Stefan.
Coach, I know a lot of your head coaching experience has been on the men's side. What have you kind of learned about the women's game? What are maybe some differences that you see that you've kind of implemented in how you coach?
I really haven't noticed very many, to be honest with you. Coaching is coaching, teaching is teaching. To be honest with you, the only one that got me with the game itself was screening. So girls screen differently than guys. And so when I was doing my demonstration on how to protect yourself, I stumbled. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to put my arms. So, I mean, that was the only time that, coaching on the female side caught me off guard. The conversations, the how they interact. I mean, that's a team. I mean, I've spent my life being a part of teams. I've spent my life coaching teams, and my last job, I had 2 female assistants on the male side. So I don't know. It probably should be a bigger deal to me, but it just isn't. And I've enjoyed my time here on the women's side of the game.
Tamika?
Hey, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So my question is really, when you look at your roster, out of a 15-player roster, basically you have 5 players returned from last year. So with the now technically a new staff, do you feel like that's a good place to be in? Bad place? Does it give you a little bit of leverage? I mean, Maya obviously consistent, Rakia consistent, Jessica pending. I mean, do you feel like that's a good spot to be in?
I don't know if it's good or bad. I just know it's what we're in. And again, having done this for so long, sometimes when you can get it right at an institution and you just never feel young and you just keep on developing and turning out players, and there's a consistency and the culture just keeps on breeding itself. But as solid as Maya and Rakia and some of those returners are, and they do have SEC experience, I'm a brand new coach for her. She's a brand new player to me. And the staff brought in a lot of new players. So in some ways, we're all starting from scratch, and we all have differing levels of ability and experience within that. So we're all a brand new team. And so I do appreciate somebody like Maya and Rakia. They've been through some battles that maybe a freshman or a newcomer hasn't come through. So their mind doesn't get, maybe they don't hear as much noise. And the younger you are, the less experienced you are, you just hear more noise, and then it ends up a lot of noise is just in your head. Well, because they've gone through some highs and they've gone through some lows, they understand that some things are more important than others. And so they don't get taken off track the way a younger player might. So their leadership within the team is growing on a daily basis, and it needs to continue to grow. In every great team I've ever been around, the inside of a team ends up taking over in the middle or towards the end. And the coaches, they don't take a back seat. We're still doing it. It's just that team's got to grow from within to be special. And so that excites me the most about those returning players.
Thanks, Coach. One last question. Are you going to add another coach to your staff?
I did.
Oh.
So yeah, a close friend of mine, I was trying to see if it was okay what I can.
Where?
But yeah, I added Bob Thornton, who played in the NBA for years, and he was on the Grizzlies bench in Sacramento. He was Patrick Ewing's backup for a while, and he's made an immediate impact with his experience and ability to teach and grow. And again, he's been through so many battles, just like a lot of the other coaches on our staffs, that we're not freaking out about anything. We're taking every day for what it is, and staying focused on what is the most important thing for this program today. And I don't know if you remember, Tamika, you worked out my daughter was at Tulane. I was with Ed Conroy. You came over and worked out, and I think she was about time.
How's she doing?
She's good. She's an assistant coach at Mercer University now, a graduate assistant.
That's awesome. Tell her I said hi, please.
I will.
All right, one last question for Coach. John, you can take it away.
Oh, I'm good. I think my hand was just still raised. Sorry.
Okay, Stefan, do you have a last question?
Yeah, it kind of feels like a fitting question with Tamika on the call, but I know Pat Summitt has talked about you before, Coach, and she's stopped in on your practices. What was your relationship like with her? Does that kind of stem back to your Tennessee days?
Yeah, and those of you that knew Pat knew she would steal an inbounds play from an 8th grade coach. She had no ego in terms of if she thought somebody had something that could make her a fraction of a bit better. And so I didn't really know her when I played at the University of Tennessee, other than how great the women's basketball programs were. And so we got to know each other a little bit more when I was coaching at a Division II school at Anderson University, and she brought her staff over and we spent a couple days, and then I came over there a few times too. And I was just always, I always admired her so much, because what the general public saw wasn't what I saw. She just looked kind of mean sometimes, and she looked tough, and she was tough, but she was so compassionate to people that really could give her nothing in return. She was such a fixture in the women's game, but she treated everybody so well. So you didn't have to be at her pedestal. You didn't have to be at her level. You didn't have to have something that she wanted in order to be nice to you. I've seen it time and time again, the things that she did behind closed doors that nobody would know about. And she was special that way. And so there are people that win, and they win a lot, and they may not be doing things right on the other side. They are not revered in the same way that she is. There's a reason that we all have such fond memories of Coach Summitt.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.